Have you ever wondered what secrets lie hidden within the walls of abandoned asylums? Behind those rusted doors and decaying halls, darkness lingers. These aren't just buildings, they're tombs for twisted memories, and sometimes the spirits left behind. Subscribe, like, and comment if you're ready, because what you're about to hear may change how you see the world forever. Follow Mr.EvilWakes on TikTok and YouTube for more real horror stories. 1. The Screaming Cell, Danvers State Hospital, Massachusetts. Danvers State Hospital was once considered a palace for the insane. But what lies buried beneath its grounds is far from regal. In 2012, an urban explorer named Kelly snuck into the abandoned asylum to film a paranormal documentary. She expected silence and shadows. Instead, she found something worse. Deep in the basement, near what was once solitary confinement, she heard screaming. Not echoing. Direct. Real. Human. Frozen, Kelly turned her flashlight down the hallway, only to see a figure sprint across the far corridor, gown trailing, bare feet slapping the tile. When she chased after it, the hallway led to a dead end. On the wall, written in faded red paint, or blood, were the words, "Don't leave me here." Kelly fled. Days later, she received a voicemail from an unknown number. It was the same scream she heard in the basement. 2. The Nurse Who Stayed, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, West Virginia. In the 1950s, Nurse Eliza worked the night shift at Trans-Allegheny. She was kind, known to comfort patients when others used force. One night, during a violent patient riot, Eliza was cornered in the hydrotherapy room. They locked the door and left her to die. Decades later, her body still hadn't been found. In 2004, a group of ghost hunters spent the night in the asylum. Around 3:00 a.m., a woman's voice was captured whispering, "I forgive you, but I can't leave." One of the investigators, Marcus, wandered off alone and found the hydrotherapy room, unaware of its history. Inside, he saw an old nurse uniform hanging on the wall. But the strange part, it was still clean, as if it had just been washed. Suddenly, he felt cold hands on his shoulders. He turned, but no one was there. Later, reviewing footage, they saw her. A woman in a nurse's uniform standing behind Marcus, only visible for 0.5 seconds. 3. The Drawing, Pennhurst Asylum, Pennsylvania. Pennhurst was infamous for its cruelty, especially toward children with mental disabilities. In the early 70s, a boy named Ben, aged 8, drew the same figure every day. A tall man with no eyes, standing in the corner, watching. Staff dismissed it as imagination until Ben went missing. His drawing was found in his room, but this time the man had eyes, bleeding. Fast forward to 2009, an artist named Rachel explored Pennhurst for inspiration. She didn't know Ben's story, but after returning home, she started drawing the same figure without realizing it. Only when a paranormal researcher saw her sketches did the connection become clear. Rachel had never seen Ben's art. She had never heard his name. Whatever watched Ben may have followed her home. 4. The Laughing Room, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Kentucky. Though technically a tuberculosis hospital, Waverly Hills had a psychiatric wing for extreme cases. One room was sealed off in 1964 after multiple patients began screaming at night about a man who laughs. They claimed he had no face, just a wide, stretching mouth that grinned from ear to ear and floated in the dark. When staff investigated, they found 3 patients in catatonic shock, claw marks gouged into their cheeks. None ever spoke again. Today, urban legends call it the Laughing Room. Most say it's just myth. But in 2018, 2 thrill-seeking teens broke in and dared each other to spend 10 minutes inside. Only one made it out. The survivor was found running barefoot through the woods, hysterical, bleeding from her ears. The only thing she kept repeating? "It smiled at me. It smiled at me." 5. The Mirror in Ward, Yan C. Beechworth Asylum, Australia. Not all haunted asylums are in America. Beechworth, in Australia, held its own horrors. In Ward C, they kept patients with violent schizophrenia. Inside one of the rooms hung a tall, antique mirror. According to nurses, a patient named Howard stared into it for days. Refused food. Refused sleep. When asked why, he whispered, "Because it watches back." One night, Howard gouged out his eyes with a spoon. The mirror shattered that same night, though no one touched it. Years later, the asylum was abandoned. But paranormal teams who enter Ward C report the mirror still appears, whole and intact, only at night. One visitor captured a photo of herself inside the room, but when she checked her phone, the reflection in the mirror wasn't her. It was Howard, smiling. These are not just stories. These are echoes of suffering, trapped in cold stone and iron beds. Asylums weren't just places of healing. For many, they were the final stop on a one-way trip into darkness. Like, comment, and subscribe to Mr.EvilWakes for more true horror stories that will haunt you long after the video ends. And remember, sometimes it's not what's inside the asylum that's cursed. It's what you bring back out with you.